Up here in the Blue Mountains, there are an awful lot of antique, vintage and second-hand shops. In fact, I've already visited some of them on this channel. Shops like Mr. Pickwick's Books and the Cancer Wellness Support Op Shop. So it's no surprise that a few weeks ago, Katoomba held a sustainability festival. Stalls were set up all over the Civic Centre promoting recycling, and green energy, and permaculture, and of course sustainable fashion. There was a lot of that. Other stalls were set up in other parts of Katoomba, like the Gearin Hotel. And of course, at local op shops, like the one at the Uniting Church on Katoomba Street. There was even live music. And one stall was promoting Loose Parts Press, a local publisher of children's books specialising in books about the Blue Mountains, nature and sustainability. Now, I don't know if Loose Parts Press prints its books on recycled paper. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but in any case, local products are always more sustainable. It did get me thinking though, because I'm a writer and the only way I can make a living is if people buy my brand new books. It was my birthday recently, and of course books pretty much made up my whole gift list, and they were all brand new. None of them ebooks because, well, as much as I like ebooks when I'm travelling, they're not the same as a printed book. I don't seem to absorb the content as well. So what I got for my birthday was, I got Mick Herron's Standing by the Wall, the collected Slough House novellas. I've mentioned before that I adore Mick Herron, and these were fabulous. I've finished them. And I got the next Olive Kittredge book, Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout. I haven't finished that yet, but it's going to be great because she's always great. And I got the latest Ian Rankin, the John Rebus book, which it's called Midnight and Blue, and I'm so looking forward to this one. Haven't read it yet. Michael Connolly's latest, The Waiting, which he's always so reliable, and I read that and it was great as per usual. And I also got A Travel Guide to the Middle Ages by Anthony Bale. So yeah, so some of those books are already great. I finished them. Some of them I haven't finished yet, but what I'm wondering is, should I feel guilty because I didn't wait until they turned up secondhand? I actually buy a lot of my books secondhand, though not usually at my local op shops in Leura. The Anglicare shop there is a great place for clothes and accessories and even stuff for the kids, but its book selection is fairly limited. The Red Cross shop in Leura is also a real destination for clothes. It's a cut above and one of the most successful Red Cross outlets in the state, apparently. And though they tend to specialise in clothes, they do have an interesting little book selection. This book is by a local author, Jennifer Rowe, also known as Emily Rodder, whom I've met several times, though surprisingly not at the supermarket. This one looked interesting, but I decided against it in the end. The op shops in Katoomba are bigger than the ones in Leura, so they tend to have more books. Katoomba Anglicare is, as usual, more of a clothes destination. But they also have a book corner. Fortunately, the books are perhaps a little pricier than they are in some other op shops. Except in this holiday special bin, where I found a book by Michael Lewis called Boomerang, which is a fabulous book. Except, unfortunately, I've already got it. Then there's Katoomba Vinnie's, which is really big, with an upstairs area that's got a nice selection of homewares. No furniture though, not like Cancer Wellness Support. It has a lot of clothes in it, of course. And it has a pretty good book section, though unfortunately, whenever I spotted something, it was usually something I'd already read or already had. Like Big Little Lies, for instance, which is fantastic, but I already have the ebook. And Candy, which is brilliant, but I've got it. And A Friend from England by Anita Bruckner, which I have. And I've read this Patricia Cornwell, which isn't one of her best. And I did not know Melina Marchetta was writing adult thrillers like me. I've met Melina a few times over the years. Katoomba Salvos is also a gigantic store. Well, it's two stores really. There's the clothing homeware side, and then in the adjoining shop there's a very respectable and cheap book section. And again, same problem, I have both these Michael Connollys. I also have John Krakau's Under the Banner of Heaven, which is a brilliant book. They even made a TV series out of it. You really should read it. And Lionel Shriver's So Much for That. Love it, got it. I thought for a moment that I might not have read this Michael Rowbotham, but I have. This is a book of Jeffrey Deaver's short stories, and I borrowed that from the library once. But this is a Candace Fox that I don't have and I haven't read, so I decided to get it. Now, as a big fan of Candace Fox, I was really happy to be on a literary panel with her recently at a festival, and she was great. So imagine my dismay when I got this book home and I checked it and I realised that it was published this year, 2024. And I only paid $2 for it, and Candace didn't get a cent of that. I mean, Salvo's got it, so I guess that's good, but I couldn't help feeling guilty. And I think that's the great conundrum that faces us as writers and readers. I suppose one way of addressing it would be if everything was on recycled paper, but I can tell you right now, it's so hard to get published these days that if authors insisted on recycled paper, they might not get published. And of course, as an author, I do feel a bit hurt when I see my books in a secondhand shop. I think, oh, weren't they keepers? But on the other hand, the thought of somebody buying a book, even from a secondhand bookshop, is just so great, because it means that an old book is coming to life again in somebody's head. And that's what I live for. That's what it's all about. So I guess the moral of the story is go and buy your books. Don't feel guilty about it. And happy reading.
Yes, please. The sand in here. Has this been to the beach?
I'm a bit grubby with my eating habits over books, I'm afraid.
It's probably too much information.
Well, it's probably more likely to be biscuit crumbs or something, to be honest.
Ginger nut sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
I always forget the end in reading. There you go.
Drawing. Ooh, that's very close. Look, I'm going to go, woo, look at me, I got it, look at that.